intro. Disclaimer, my videos are not your usual travel videos. With all due respect, I did not make these videos for you. Rather, I made these videos in my 60s and 70s to watch again when I was too old to travel, when unable to travel. I would relive those trips from my rocking chair or recliner. That time is now. Prostate cancer. Rather than trying to excite others, I just wanted to catapult myself back in time to re-experience my earlier moments. Unlike many travel videos, my videos are spontaneous, in the moment, unscripted, and unrehearsed reflections of what I was seeing and feeling at that moment I turned the camera on. There is no friend, cameraman, multiple takes, inspiring background music, scripted rehearsals, or expert editing. I carried my video camera every day, everywhere, usually hidden under my jacket or beside my van seat, where it was easy to grab to film while driving, or if I jumped out quickly to film something. If in public areas, I carried my video camera under a dress shirt wrapped around my waist or under my jacket with the long strap slung over my head and under one shoulder so it could not be ripped away from me by skilled thieves. I had always been enthralled with the Klondike Gold Rush era, probably from Jack London's stories and Robert Service poems, which I often read over and over again to myself and anybody else I could trap into listening. I'll give you a sample. Strange things are done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold, and the Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. And the northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee. You can't read these stories and poems without viscerally feeling the outsized grandeur, power, and majesty of Alaska and its neighboring Canadian Northwest Territories. Rugged, glacier-capped mountains, huge and powerful rivers, and large lakes. London's stories and Service's poems people this landscape stage with equally rugged individualistic men and women. In 1996, I decided I would travel in my 1992 Road Trek van. Actually, I'm driving the 6th one now, which was beautifully equipped for the drive and its river and lakeside camping. My itinerary began in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, through Oregon to Washington State's Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier, and Olympic National Park, with its unique Hoh, that's spelled H-O-H, rainforest. Here's another excellent example of a nurse log and what's called a colonnade. In other words, a series of trees that have formed along one fallen tree create in essence a row of columns of trees. Then I would ferry over to Vancouver Island to explore its vibrant Victoria City and dicey forest logging roads. Now in British Columbia, they use monster trucks to haul logs up these roads. You can hear one coming, and I've stopped so we can get a shot of as it goes by. And these are monster trucks. carrying probably twice the load that anything else carries. Look at the size of that. Probably half again as large as the average semi. The logging companies apparently own these roads, literally, not just figuratively. They built them, they own the land they're on, they maintain them, and the rules are, when they're coming, get off to the side, stay to the right, keep your lights on, and they have absolute, just about absolute, right to these roads. So you are the one that pulls over to the side, and there are many, many turnoffs like the one I'm in here, just to give you that opportunity. Then, ferry back to the mainland, often on remote, seldom traveled roads, to Banff National Park, en route north to Prince Rupert and its ferry to Skagway, Alaska. This is the Columbia ice fields in Banff National Park in Canada. You'll notice way up towards the top how it appears to cascade down. That probably represents various levels or mini cirques created by this glacier over the course of its origination. Taking a few moments out to walk back here along the stream side. You can imagine what it must be like when here we are approaching dredge number 4 on the Bonanza Creek. This is in the process of being restored. As you can see, it's surrounded by an embankment, which way it will then fill with water so that it will actually float as it did in the old days. This is the dredge developed for massive mining of these gold-bearing quartz beds. Like a giant worm, this was its excrement end, i.e. from here, this conveyor belt, it dumped all of the rubble left over after the gold had been processed out. Of course, it could swing from side to side, and this creates the rows of rubble that we see on the valley floor. Off the ferry in Skagway, I spent 2 days exploring its well-preserved buildings, museum, waterfront, and the old cemetery of heroes and villains. Next morning, I drove a few miles away to explore Dyea, the actual start of the Chilkoot Trail, explored its ruins, and walked a mile or so up the Chilkoot Trail. The next morning, I left Skagway, traveling north to join Route 2, following the Yukon River into the Northwest Territories, Canada's Northwest Territories, and up to Dawson City's historical 1897 Alaskan Klondike Gold Rush goldfields. For several days, I explored Dawson City's legendary streets and buildings, including Robert Service's preserved cabin, where an older gentleman read Robert Service poems to we knowledgeable and excited audience. I wandered up the Klondike River into the original gold fields with its ravaged landscape and huge abandoned gold dredges, giant pond-bound steamboat mining factories. At night, I parked along a secluded riverbank, read Robert Service poems to stay steeped in the spirit. The next morning, on Route 2 out of Skagway, I finally tied into the Alcan Highway. That's the Alaska/Canada acronym, going west into Alaska. I had learned of the Alcan Highway as a semi-trucker's near mythological asphalt ribbon into the northwest Yukon/Alaska region, even imagining that I might someday hook a ride with a semi-truck driving north. Somewhere on the Alcan, I stopped for two hitchhiking ladies, an Aussie and a Kiwi. They described a canoe trip they had just taken down the Yukon River, starting at Lake Labarge. I was impressed. The bug had bit. I was infected. Driving back to Jackson through southern Alaska and British Columbia, my plan began to hatch. Anyway, I continued west on the Alcan Highway into Alaska. My travel style. Think mainly solo, obsessively curious traveler, as though I were a poor student, avoiding noisy campgrounds, except when necessary, in a national park like Big Bend, Texas, where the main attractions are 50 miles into the park. Traveling in my old Suburban and then a high-quality Road Trek RV van, I actually have owned a total of 6, camping off the grid or hidden in cities quietly unnoticed. My research, planning, and itinerary. I deeply researched each trip for months before departure, using, number 1, Rand McNally's Large-Scale Road Atlas, number 2, DeLorme's Arizona Atlas and Gazetteer for every state I was going through, and 3, the internet, of course, as it evolved. I built a relatively detailed itinerary for each trip that included not only the site visits and experiences I wanted to see, but also rough navigation required, usually marked on the Rand McNally Large-Scale Road Atlas. But beware of a rigid, inflexible travel itinerary, because it is a potential curse. A rigid, inflexible travel itinerary is a potential curse because it limits your cultural immersion and you miss serendipitous discoveries. This is my curse solution. I padded my itinerary with extra free time. First, 1 free day for every 7 travel days. Second, daily surplus free scheduled time. Go to the next clip to see how I did it. These are a few of my American travel adventures that might intrigue you. The Pueblones Ruins, or the Anasazi, Canyon de Chelly, Chaco Canyon, Mesa Verde, the Mound Culture peoples, Cahokia Mounds, Effigy Mounds, Hopewell Cultural National Historical Park, and the Moundsville Archaeological Park. Civil War, the Gettysburg, Shiloh, and Antietam battlefields, and the antebellum South, Rosewood Plantation and Longwood Plantation houses. Visiting almost everything, the dramatic, the famous, insignificant, and obscure. I hope my videos serve you, But if not, I equally hope you find what does. Thanks. Please use my content key to find what you might enjoy and avoid what you don't. This is how. First, open any of my videos and immediately stop the autoplay. Second, scroll below the video and click Show More. Third, scroll down through my video description and click on the blue timestamp number to the left of the subject with the number of asterisks that you might like. YouTube magically jumps to that time position in my video and auto starts playing. A special note that may be helpful: this content key will appear immediately after my introductory and bio video clip. For many of the videos in North America, including United States and Canada, and including Alaska.